Hey folks, good morning, it's Cornholio. Coming at you live today from my kitchen table. And we're gonna talk about, a couple of guns here and a couple of things about the new SIG P365X macro, okay? Now, this gun is safe. He is unloaded. Y'all can see he's unloaded. We're dropping the magazine, unload the magazine. All right. He's empty. Let's take a look at the next one that I'm gonna use as a comparison is my Glock 45. He is empty. He is empty. That one too. And then next, my 1911. This is a Springfield Champion Operator 45 ACP 4-inch. And he is empty. Okay. All right, well, let's start off with the man of the hour, the P365X macro. My goodness, is that not a gorgeous little gun? Okay. Now, I'm going to tell you, some of you who watch my videos know that I had the 365, the 365 XL. I also bought the Glock 43X and the 48 about the same time. I bought those, and I like the feel of the Glock better. The original P365 fell out of my holster inside my waistband of my jacket, riding on my Harley. Had I not had that, a good jacket on, that gun would have been flying down the interstate somewhere, and I would never have seen it again. Cameras are shaking a little bit because I've got it on its, I don't know what the stand is. The stand's not that great. Pardon me for that. So, I've always said this, and I do not like guns that require a pinky extension for me to get a full grip. Now this happens to be the XL frame because on the last XL that I had, I bought an Icarus frame for it, Icarus, what it's called, the full metal one. I loved it, loved it. I like the 365. I liked it. I like the Glock 26, the way it shot. Couldn't stand the fact that I got to wrap my finger around a pinky extension of a magazine. Okay, so I've gotten rid of all those guns. The last XL that I sold, it had the Icarus frame on it, so I got rid of it. I just, compared to the XL, which you can see, gave me just about enough to get my finger on it. Just couldn't quite get it. The Icarus frame wasn't any different. These hold 12-round magazines, and you can see they fit up in there dead flush. It just covers that up. The front of that magazine, this is the frame. So that wasn't bad, but it just wasn't quite good enough. I sold it because I'm not a fan of Glock 19s. The Gen 4s and 3s were good. The Gen 5s are better. They have, they've undercut it pretty good. This here is the Glock 45. And when I picked this gun up and held it, I was like, oh my gosh. That feels fantastic. That is probably one of the best feeling Glocks that I've ever held in my hands. Look at my grip. Thumb's touching that. Look at my grip on the X macro. Little carryover. Look at my grip on, not much different, on the 45, 1911. Thumbnail matches them two. Overlaps a little bit. The Glock overlaps just like the 45 ACP, the 1911. I picked this thing up. I wanted the 17-round gun. I had never really liked the 17s total because they were just a little too long for me, for my liking. So when they mixed match up, the Glock 19X come out, I went and held it, and I was like, holy smoke, I love this. It just feels good. And they said, well, they're coming out with a black Model 45 that doesn't have that finger, that little tab down here, and doesn't have the ring loop on it, because I would have cut those off immediately. So I waited and I got the Glock 45, 9mm. You all know about this gun. I sold most of my other ones. I'd already gotten rid of the Glock 43X. I have a 43 as well. My daughter got that. My son got one of the 43Xs. The second one I bought was actually a 48 that I converted down to a 43X by putting a slide on it that I could put a compensator on it with a threaded barrel and a red dot. And I went out, proceeded to go out, and it was one of the very first 48s that ever come out. Okay, so it didn't have the thickened frame for the lights or anything on it. Gotta have my coffee. I went out shooting one day, and I was shooting. I had 7 or 8 of the S15 round magazines from Shield Arms, and I shot that little 48. And some of those Shield mags, I had 5-round extensions on them, so I was pumping pretty much 100 rounds through that thing really, really fast. And it almost didn't catch it the first time it happened, but after shooting 5 rounds of 20-round magazines, it was 98 to 100 degrees that day in Kansas. When the last round went out and the slide locked back on the magazine, the slide stop right here was cocked out about a good 1/4 of an inch, yanked it, just a weird cocked out. And the polymer frame right in here was, I could mush it with my finger, and I thought, oh, I'm gonna deform it. It's gotten so hot. It's like Kydex, I'm gonna reshape this thing. And I was like, so stop. I did drop the magazine, and when I pulled back and let the slide go home, it went back into its place. I put the gun in the truck. I wasn't filming that day. I didn't think to take a picture of it. I put the gun in the truck, and I turned the air conditioner on and let it cool down. I shot a couple of mags through it, just normal shooting, not rapid fire. It didn't do it again. So then I loaded up 5 of my original Glock 10-round magazines in that 48, and I shot them in rapid succession as fast as I could, and it did it twice on the last 2 magazines. The slide locked back. I dropped the magazine. The slide lock right here was cocked out a 1/4 of an inch. I just let it ride home. It went back into its place. It didn't affect the function of the gun, but I lost confidence in that. So I sold my Glock 43X and my Glock 48, and I bought this Glock, the 45. No, I went back and bought another SIG. I sold the smaller ones, 43X and a 48, and went and got me my second XL, P365 XL. That's the one that I put the Icarus frame on. And I love the gun. The 365s shoot fantastic. They're great little guns. If you want a pocket carry, the original is perfect. Now they have the X that has the longer slide or the longer frame, but doesn't have the XL slide on it. It has the original slide on it, so it's flush. All kind of different things are coming out with these little guns. They have the some new comp, fancy when they made the X comp or whatever it was. I didn't see it. They just keep innovating, keep going up, keep going up, keep going up. But the 365 and the XL, just as much as I love the guns, as much as I shot them, something was not right. It just wasn't right. I couldn't get that good feel I wanted, so I sold it and bought the Glock 45 here, like I said. And as for any gun, I've heard this almost tons of videos since this new gun come out. This new X Macro came out. It's a Glock killer. It's a Glock killer. There's no such thing as a Glock killer, okay? Glocks will go away when the company folds, okay? But there are so many other people out there that are making frames, slides, every single part imaginable for a Glock that anyone could easily piece one together for decades and decades to come. Glock's not going anywhere. There is no such thing as a Glock killer, okay? The fact that people always say a Glock killer leads you to understand just how popular Glocks are around the world. And the number one popular one that's the most popular around the globe is a 19. I simply like this 45. It's a Gen 5. And the Gen 5 19s, they said don't give you the Glock rub or the Glock knuckle. They're undercut just enough that you can get your finger in there. The 43X and the 48, I never had a problem with the Glock knuckle. It never rubbed me raw right here from being under here. Every 19, Model 23, every other Glock I ever shot except for the Model 20 and the Gen 5 17s, none of them give me the Glock knuckle. Everyone else did. I don't know what else to say. Glocks are fantastic, fantastic guns. This 45 is kind of smoothed off a little bit so it doesn't snag. It holds 17 rounds and it's short enough and really not that thick that I can carry it. The 1911, of course, is thinner, but it's heavier and it only holds 8+1, unless you want to put a 10 round magazine in. So what modifications have I done to any of these guns? This Glock 45. I put a little magazine cap plug in it. It's aluminum and it's got a flag on it. That's all I've done. Haven't messed with the trigger. Doesn't need to be messed with. All these people are thinking, oh, I've got to buy this trigger. You know, we all fall for something. And I've bought all the other triggers before, the Apexes and whatnot, and this one and that one. I've bought them all and put them in different guns. When you've got a factory gun that's less than 6 pounds, you're okay. You're okay. Okay, I promise you. There's not many people out there who could really even appreciate what a 3 pound or less trigger really does. These are carry guns, okay? And if you're shooting competition, hey, shoot. I've got one gun there, it's 1.1 pound trigger pull. If you're shooting competition, go for it. Put all the triggers in you want to. This X macro is 5 to 5 1/4 pound pull. This Glock is right out of 4.5 pound trigger pull. This 1911 is a 3.5 pound because that's where I like my 1911s to be, 3.5 to 4 pounds. Used to go 4 to 5 pounds. I just simply like the 3.5 pound triggers, and I tune them myself. What have I done to this 1911 in upgrades? I put a stand chin magwell in it and some G10 grips because, call me old-fashioned, those Springfield grips are just too beautiful to carry every day, and I'm afraid I'm gonna tear them up. So I like the G10 grips. These are from a guy in Florida. I think he's in Florida. He's on eBay. The store name is Klonimus. It's Klonimus. He has some of the best grips for 1911s that I have ever come across for a very, very fantastic price of somewhere around 30 bucks for a set. They are cut perfectly. They're cut out for if you want to, the ambidextrous safeties, they're cut out for that. They're also cut out on the bottom around this with that little triangle cut out on the bottom side if you want to put one of those slide-on magazine magwells. I like the ones that come with the back strap, the mainspring housing. So I had used Smith Alexander. I had used a couple of other ones. I had used Kimber's. I've used a bunch of different kind of mainspring housings with magwells in them, but the stand chin, holy smoke, it is the mother of all magwells. Combine that with these Klonimus G10 grips, and it looks like I sent this off and had it custom fit. And they're simply drop-ins. So the only thing I've done to it is put different grips on it and a magwell. The Glock, I put in a butt plug. What have I done to the X Macro? Not a dadgum thing. I took it apart and cleaned it. I'm going to show you some things about it. You've probably all seen them all already. The back straps, there's 3 sizes, a small, medium, and large. The medium shot fine. I think it fits my hand. It's a little bit better with the large. So I put the large back strap on it. The first video I made of this gun, I had a major malfunction with it after the second shot. I showed y'all in the video we're going to go over that right quick. I'm going to show you exactly what happened and what the fix was. All right. Get off. All right, when I was shooting it, 2 rounds popped off, and then boom, nothing. Couldn't even get the trigger to reset. I thought I had needed some oil because, like I said, it was brand new out of the box. And I've harped on this before. 99% of the time, anytime I get a brand new gun, I take it apart and clean it, put it back together, and go shoot it. 100% of the time, when I buy a used gun, I will take that thing home, tear it and strip it apart and make sure there's nothing broken or somebody put some stupid parts in it or whatever, okay? I always do that. This one was brand new. I was pushed for time. I picked it up late in the morning and didn't have much time before I had to work, so I went down and made a quick video on it. And lo and behold, him quit working. All right, oh, also, before we tear it apart, let me show y'all something. I just thought about this, remembered this. And most of y'all have seen this, and it lands to what I'm talking about. When you pull the trigger, watch. You cock it, goes forward, you start pulling the trigger. Watch the group assembly right here. Watch this very slightly. You see it move? When you pull the trigger, you can feel it, okay? You get that little bit of a movement. Now watch here. All right, it's cocked. Can you see the whole slide? Can you see it moving? You can hear it. Watch right here. Watch these move. See that? That's the whole slide and trigger group housing. You hear it moving. You can hear it. Okay, people talk about that. When I go to shoot my gun, I pull the trigger, it moves. Yeah, it does. I'll do that. Why does it move? We're going to show you. We're going to show ya. All right, put that over the hole. Let's punch the pin out. There's the takedown pin, okay? Come up. Okay, here's your fire control group, okay? There's your trigger return, trigger bar. There's your spring. It's a little U spring that circles once and goes back, has little tabs that stick out on each end. You can see the tabs. Here it is right here. That tab hooks right there. This end, the bottom end goes through this hole of the back of your breech and locks in right there. This one comes around and it tabs over right here. There's a hole in the back of this trigger return bar and it sticks in that little hole. When I shot mine 2 rounds and then it quit, this right here, spring, when I took it apart, was not in this hole. It had popped out, it was just flopping. So I had a little pair of pliers. I went and pinched it and got that back in the hole, squirted a little lube on it, and it worked perfect. But as to why this trigger group moves inside the housing when you recock it and pull the trigger, here's your takedown pin, okay? Goes through this hole. Look at this. Look how much wiggle room there is. Okay, we're talking probably, could be a 1/16 of an inch. Put it through, there's one little, kind of like a C clip or a D clip that goes right here and it pinches over and hits on one of them little grooves so you can put it in either way and it keeps it in place so it don't slide out, all right? Look at the movement in this thing. Both sides, okay? That's why this thing moves. Why did they oversize this hole to allow this pin and the whole thing to move? I don't know. Something you'll have to call Sig and ask them about. Is there a fix for it? Yeah. I mean, if you're a good enough machinist who can drill a really nice hole, I would put this thing all back together. I'm not going to do it, but I guess someone could put it all back together, center him up, put it in a drill press and drill an oversized hole Well, I would take that little C-clip off first and just drill like an oversized hole that is perfectly round and get you an oversized pin and put back in there, and you wouldn't have that problem. It would not do that anymore. But that's why your trigger group, the fire control group, moves. Get in there. Is that? Yep. That's why it moves. Because that hole is not perfectly round, it's oblong. Oblongata. All right, well, and you notice, see how the thing locks, your takedown pin locks like this, it won't go. You do have to push up on the slide release a little bit in order to get this thing to come down when you don't have a slide on it. So push that up, pull it down, he goes back in there. Make sure your trigger bar, your firing pin safety bar that actuates your firing pin safety lock, make sure that is down all the way. Push him on, you can lock him back up, and it pops that back into place, and you're good to go. Watch again real close when I pull the trigger. Watch the whole slide and everything move backwards just a tad. Here we go. See it move? See it all move. Trigger is okay. It's perfectly fine for self-defense shooting, okay? It really is. No need to change it. No need to, unless you're gonna shoot competition with it. But when I put my hands around this gun, I've got total coverage of my pinky right here. Total. High enough back strap. This tang back strap, tang, some people call it beaver tail. And I've heard people say, it ain't a beaver tail because it ain't 1911. Okay, grip tang, grip safety, grip extension. It's perfect. Look at that. My fat hand has got enough. There's no way I'm gonna get bite. Same thing with my 1911 because it does have an extended beaver tail with a skeletonized hammer. Okay, look at my Glock 45. Plenty of tang here. All right. So folks, that's what's going on with this gun right now. 17 round magazine, holy smack. I mean, SIG, man, bravo, bravo, way to go, way to go. They first started off with 10, extended them to 12 on the originals. Even made a 15 rounder, and the XL come out with 12 rounders and 15 rounders. And now the X Macro has 17 rounds. So let's take a look at this magazine, okay? You can't find them anywhere. Nobody has them. SIG doesn't have them listed on their site. I haven't called them yet to find out if they will actually sell them, if you call them or not, which I will be calling them later today and see. But there is something, since I still have lots of magazines from the other guns, because when I sell guns, I never sell all my extra magazines. I give them what come with it. This gun, this thing goes in here. It's flush. If you look on the back, you can see that's the magazine right there. There's extra. Why they didn't, I don't know, make this, well, they really couldn't. It wouldn't come off then. But you have more magazine right there showing. They could have actually made the back end of this gun longer, come down longer, and it would have helped, but I guess they figure you might need something to grab hold of. But fear not, if you have 15 round magazines, you have options. Here's a 15 round magazine. See, 510, you can see the 15 on it. That went into my XL. I modified my magazine base plate, and it works. You can put 15 rounders in here, okay? Now, a 12 round only will not go. It will not work. Only the 15 rounders will go. Now, if you don't have 15 round extension plates on these that came with them, and you can take a magazine pad off of a 10 or 12 rounder. I don't know about the 10 rounders. I'm sure you can off the 10 rounder or off the, but the 12 round magazine base plates, they got to be modified slightly. Okay, so let's just look. Here is a 15 rounder. And this is the original 10 and 12 inch base plate, or it'll fit the 15 as well. But here's what it won't do on the 15. It won't lock in all the way. And because you see where I had to Dremel out some of this backing right here, I had to Dremel that out. This right here, it sticks up a little farther, okay? And it's designed for the 12 rounders. It fits up in there perfectly flush on a 12 rounder. But when you go to put it on a 15 rounder, if you don't Dremel out that little bit, here's what happens. It doesn't go far back enough and your locking tab doesn't lock in, because on the back of this magazine, there's a little lip that kind of hangs down that catches on this. All right, it will not go back. Of course, you could Dremel out the back of the magazine, the metal part of the magazine, but I just don't think I want to do that. Okay, you could grind off that little piece right there, but that's expensive. You mess it up, you probably ruined it. So what I did is I took a 12 round plate, Dremeled out a little bit of this here backing, and now when you put him in here, it goes back far enough and that locks into place perfectly, and it covers everything up back here, okay? So now I have another 15 round magazine that I could put in here, but look what it looks like. If you're okay with that, I wouldn't carry it like that because it definitely could snag your clothing, especially when reloading. But it's okay, it works, okay? It works perfectly. Or you can take the 15 round magazine base plate and cut it off and bevel these down a little bit all the way around. It's kind of a trial and error kind of thing. You can see I've got a good 1/4 inch or so left up, and then it goes up, I don't know, about a 1/2 inch or whatever. Don't go by those measurements. If you do it, put it in the gun and see it. And he goes up in there, and that looks pretty good. I could have let him a little higher, but my finger's not there. I'm not worried about getting pinched at all. It doesn't pinch me no matter what I do. So, and it looks a heck of a lot better, I think, a 15 round mag with this base plate Dremeled off like that. I think it looks better than that. Okay, so let's just take a look at, that's the original. That's the 15 rounder. That's acceptable to me. So now I have a couple of extra 15 round mags that will work in this X Macro, because they only send you 2 17 rounders. Let's take a look at the, I mean, they almost look identical in length. You can see the 17 rounder is just a tad longer than the 15 rounder. The base plates are different angles, okay? The follower from the 10, 12, 15 rounders is straight out instead of curved down like these. See that difference? But this will still work. That's amazing. How they got 17 rounds in that little gun. All right, the back strap, I've got the large one on, and you can see my thumbnail overlaps this middle finger dead even right here. Where on the other guns, the Glock's like this, the 1911 was like that. A little bit farther. The Glock, I say 19, the Glock 45, yeah. So this is fatter, and I have the middle size back strap on this one, which seems to work fine for me. And I didn't see, I mean, it's the original one. I didn't do any of the ads and adding back straps on them or nothing like that. I just have the original, and it works just fine. It's dusty, because I've been carrying it. It shoots flat. This comp on it, where they cut out these 2 slots, and you notice the barrel doesn't come up to the end of it. The barrel's the 3.1 inch, and the normal is 3.7. They do make a slide on SIG's website. That is the XL slide. And yet, you know, on the XLs, the new when they first come out, if you took off your plate and put on a red dot, you lost your back sights. Okay? They actually have a slide on their website that is the XL slide that has a plate that comes off like this one and allows you to keep your night sights in the back. They also have the original one where they'll come off. Those are both for sale, anywhere from $270 to $370. Okay? They make that. And you will have to change and get you a longer barrel. Okay, you'll have to get a 3.7 inch barrel instead of this 3.1 inch. All right. The flaws on this gun. Okay, we've already talked about one. When you pull the trigger, the whole assembly moves back and forth. It's louder than your average because these ports that port gases up to keep this gun shooting flat also deflect sound back. So it is noisy. All right. That's fault number 2. Fault number 3. Look at, now I've shot this 15 rounder here in my other gun. I shot thousands of rounds through that thing. I don't know how many times. I had like 8 magazines, so I don't know. 200 or 300 rounds been through this one. Excuse me. Do you see the wear marks? There's a little groove right there. It's not real bad. There's a little bit one right here. When you load your bullets in, you shove them down. I've only shot 200 rounds through this new gun, the new X Macro with the 2 magazines. 200, 250 rounds, something like that. Look at the divots already in here too. See the divots? It's on both of them, all right? That's just from loading them, okay? And that's your first round going in. It could be, I guess it could be kicking it up when it fires too. Already got wear marks on it right here and right here on both magazines. The other one's over there, it's loaded. I guess that's a gripe, I don't know. I would have liked to have seen metal followers put in there. I really would. At some point in time when this thing wears out, is that going to affect shooting? I don't know, it might. This thing's got a pretty stiff return spring on it, recoil spring. I think that would strip one out in a firing situation, whether those divots were deeper than that or not. Would think the last round will be the only one affected anyway, if it's ever affected. So those are my 3 gripes about it. The play, they could have made that better. The noise, which you can change it out. And if you have a XL at home, just take your sliding barrel off and slap it on this and it'll work. Now you've got 17 rounds without the compensation. You have a little bit longer barrel and a little bit longer sight picture because your front sight's going to be out here on the XL. If that's a gripe. And the magazine. That's it. Great gun, shoots flat. It feels better in my hand than the Glock 43X and the Glock 48. It does. It shoots 17 plus 1 rounds. Makes it perfect for a carry gun. Now, I'm never one to carry guns in my pocket. Some people do. Some very, very, very well-known YouTubers like to carry them in their pocket. I mean, people that have 8 million subscribers. Older guy. Hint, hint, love his videos. Love Glock 45's videos. Been watching him for as long as he's been on YouTube. So was my son. My son was watching him one day. Hey, and then he come in the living room and I was watching him on my computer. He goes, I was just watching him. I said, Glock 45? He goes, yeah. I said, man, he makes fantastic videos and a fantastic shooter. And so when I'm enjoying him and my son's enjoying him and we didn't collaborate on that, it tells you how popular, in my opinion, this guy is. Hickok's a fantastic, fantastic YouTuber. I wish him all the success. His son John and him, and John plays him songs on there, little catchy tunes, and I just love watching his videos. But he likes carrying guns in his pocket. And he loves his little XL and his original P365, and he's got little holsters in there. I just have never been one to carry one in my pocket. Sometimes I fumble enough trying to get my shirt up and get one out of an appendix carry, especially if I've got a leather holster and I've got it sunk way down in there. To try and reach in my pocket and grab one out, that would take me a lot more practice than I'm willing to try. And I'm just afraid I'd shoot a hole in my leg. So I'm not a fan of pocket holsters. This one, unless you've got big old giant cargo pants and your holster, you know, pocket holster kind of strapped in there good, you know, you could put this in cargo pants, but I just think it would be heavy and flop around too much. Regular pants pocket, I wouldn't want to carry it in it. And I don't carry mine anyway. I either shoot outside the waist over here on my 3 o'clock or appendix carry, and it's not dead center, it's kind of off to the right, just a little bit right here. And I can walk around all day long with this gun, and I walk around all day long with this Glock and this 4-inch 1911, and nobody sees it, nobody can tell. I'm kind of built that way. But I do love this gun. I don't care how loud it is. In a combat situation or a home defense or a car defense situation, this right here, comp, cuts, is the only thing that worries me about this gun. Because if somebody's at my window and I have to shoot them like this from my car window, I'm gonna catch it. Oh, I'm gonna catch it. So car shooting, I'm having to train myself to move back out of the way and push the gun out farther than simply shooting it like this. I'm now doing training videos. I mean, not videos, I'm making videos of my training on that. I'm now training like this, shooting this gun in my car. Because you can see videos of people shooting when they got some dirty ammo and the gas is coming up. And I mean, they come up straight. There's a little bit that goes out to the side on each side, but the majority of it goes straight up, which is okay, because some compensators have side-to-side cutouts on them, and that would really, shooting out of your car like this, would just blast you right in the face. Comps do two things that are considered negative, is they do blow gases, you know, everywhere, and they're noisy. Really, they're a lot louder. But this gun shoots flat. The compensator cutouts on it ensure that, which means you have a lot faster recovery time when you shoot and it goes up. You're back on target a lot quicker, noticeably quicker to me than the other guns. That's why I love this thing. I'm not worried about the noise. I'm not worried about the slide moving around because I'm done used to that as long as I've been shooting these things. I'm not worried about that at all. I'm not worried about this magazine little divot. I'm not worried about the gases out here. Only time I would be worried about the gases out here is if I had to shoot someone in my car like this. I'm in trouble. I'm gonna catch it right in the face. That's a training issue you can get away from, or you can, like I said, just put your XL slide and barrel on here and this thing will work perfect. But for 17 plus 1 rounds in this gun right here, oh my goodness. Game changer, not really game changer. I mean, game changer would be coming up with a gun, you know, that shot out the top or something like that, that did something different than what every single pistol we got does. You hold the gun, you pull the trigger, the bullet comes out this end, okay? If you want to call something a game changer, then you got to come up with something that shoots bullets, you know, out to the side or whatever like that to be a game changer, because the game is point and shoot. That's the game, right? I don't like some of them words, but as far as you calling this a beaver tail, I could care less, okay? This is a fantastic gun. It by far trumps every other small pistol that I have shot, and I've shot quite a few of them. This is the new king of small, we're gonna call it a macro, subcompact. This is becoming close to the compact size guns. If they had this thing with the shorter plain 3-inch barrel and slide, you would call this, I would consider this a micro, a subcompact gun that could shoot 17 rounds. This is phenomenal, folks. This is innovation, okay, that we haven't seen in a gun manufacturer in 40, 50 years. I kid you not. We've not seen nothing like this. This is a fantastic, fantastic gun. It is my all-time new favorite. I still carry my Glock 45. I love this gun. I love the way it shoots. I love the way it feels. I carry it easy. It has ambidextrous control for your slide stop. I put night sights on it. I'm sorry, I did do one other thing. Not changing the butt plug. I did put night sights on it. Sorry about that. That's the only other modification I've made to it, those two things. This is all original. The mag release is original. The slides locks are original. They don't have the divots on them like you see a lot of people, and I have bought those as well. You don't see a lot of people carrying them with just your standard slide stops in them anymore. Slide release, slide stop, slide lock, whatever you call it. All three names do the same thing. They hold the slide back on the last round. I love this gun, okay? I'm by far no means any fanboy of any type of gun other than 1911s. I'm a huge fanboy of 1911s. I love these things. I've owned at least 30 or 40 different 1911s since I've been shooting. I prefer the 4-inch barrels. Now, I did carry 3-inch, the Ultras or the officers models. I carried those for a while. Had a couple different ones. Liked them as well. But I keep going back to 4-inch commander size. And I got some 5-inch government size. I love them too. But this gun right here, this 45 ACP 1911, that's just so sexy. And a little heavy. Oh, speaking of heavy, let's weigh them. Let's weigh each gun empty with an empty magazine in it. Let's see what they weigh. We'll start off. I'm going to move the pad so that I'm on the hard table. All right, I think I'm still picking this all up on the camera. My upper camera, let me verify. I moved my mat, that's my reference point. Oop, yep, I have to come up farther. Let's go a little farther. Up. Let's put this up where you guys can see. We'll turn it sideways. There, you can see that. Turn him on. Zero him. Okay. Commander size, 1911, fully loaded up with all the fancy schmancy stuff and a magazine, no ammunition, weighs 33 ounces. The Glock 45 with night sights and a magazine, no ammunition, weighs 25 ounces, 33, 25. And the man of the hour, unloaded full magazine, 21 and a half. 21 and a half, 25, 33. Okay, so you see the weight difference, all right? 17 rounds in each of the Glocks. You know, I forget what the ounces are on a round. I'll load it up again another time and do that. But there you have it. I have 3. These are my rotation carry guns that I carry. One of these on my body anytime I walk out the house. And most times when I'm in the house, one of these guns is going to be within hand reach. No question about it. They're just fantastic. They're my all-time favorites. Absolute best Glock I've ever owned and ever shot is this G45. Absolute top-notch, like about 20 or 30 other 1911s that I have had. Commander size, specifically this one. These things shoot fantastic. I do my own work on them. I do my own trigger jobs. I don't really do work for other people anymore because of liability shit going around nowadays. 20 years ago, if you dropped your gun off with me, the next day I'd hand it back to you and it had a 3.5 pound trigger pull. And it was slicked up, and if it was tight, I polished the breech face on them. The majority of your 1911 problems with cycling, especially new ones, is the breech face. Right here is not polished and not smooth, and mine is. A 45 ACP in a 1911 round, when your gun strips the round out of that magazine as the slide is going forward, it comes up, the breech face strips the back of the bullet up, and your extractor right here captures it. and it rides up and up the extractor. So if your extractor is not tuned, that causes hang-ups. If your breech face is not polished, that causes hang-ups because it's fully captured all the way and up the feed ramp until it seats into the chamber, and then you fire it and the extractor and the gun goes back and pops it out and picks up another round. So that round is fully captured the whole time it's up and fed into the barrel, all right? So your main points, if you're having trouble with a new gun jamming, not stovepipes from ejection issues, but jamming and the slide doesn't go forward, it kind of goes to like right there and stops, yet it won't go forward completely into battery. And what happens when a gun's out of battery? Look at there, it won't fire, okay? Your issues are your extractor and your breech face need polishing and tuning to make sure that it captures that bullet without binding. Everybody says, polish feed ramp, polish feed ramp. Yeah, that can help, but your main issues are going to be your extractor and your breech face. That needs some good polishing and work to make sure that when that bullet comes up, this is the back rail of the bullet, and the extractor grabs it, the bullet's going to go on up as it's going forward. If there's problems with that bullet going up that breech face and that extractor, there'll be a lot of your hang-ups, all right? Some measurements got to take, some fine looking at it, some cleaning, sometimes polishing is required. And extractors can be tuned. They're hard to do. If you don't know how to do it, I suggest you take it to a qualified gunsmith and make sure that that bullet rides up and down through that extractor where the extractor does not have a bent tab that's kinking it and binding it, all right? But 300, 400, 500 rounds to the gun usually fixes that issue. So you can do it yourself and alleviate a lot of break-in time, or you can just wait, or you can take it and have it tuned, all right? Which is not cheap. But I used to do that kind of stuff for folks back in the day, but not today. Not today. I'm not having somebody shoot somebody in self-defense and then something go wrong and they blame me, or you tuned this gun, you made it more deadly, or you screwed it up, or you did something. I'm not having that. So I do my own work on my own guns, and that's it. And I'm just talking about polishing. My Glocks, I do polish up all the internals on it to get them to run good and smooth. This X Macro, I've not done a single solitary thing to it. The only thing I will do is probably put me a red dot on it. That's it. That 5-pound trigger is totally fine with me. All right, that gun's not moving when I pull that trigger, okay? Okay, it's not wiggling, jumping up and down. If you got a good grip on it, any gun, I don't care what it is. Some of you guys need an 11-pound trigger, I'm gonna tell you right now, because I've been to the range and seen you guys turn hand, pow! Yeah, I seen that. If you had got you a 3-pound trigger put in there, a ghost trigger and all that stuff like that, and you don't know what the hell you're doing with it. All right, I don't want to shoot next to you. All right, you need some more training. People never shot guns before, but get into it, jump on the bandwagon, watch all these videos, and these guys got these 3-pound, 3.5-pound triggers on their Glocks. I don't know what they're doing. I don't even know what it's for, and they get out there and they end up hurting somebody. All right, practice, 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 practice. Watch videos, safe videos, watch training videos. Quit watching the mag dump videos, okay? The only time you need to mess with a trigger in a Glock, and this is my opinion, you may differ, and that's totally okay if you differ with my opinion. I don't think less of you. I hope you don't think less of me. But the only time you ever need to mess with a trigger in a Glock is if you're going to be using it for competition, okay? These come with around a 4.5 to 5.5-pound trigger out the box. That is totally perfect for defensive carrying. Because when you're in a defensive carry situation, your adrenaline has pumped up so hard, your fine motor skills kind of go out the window. Your gross motor skills kick in, okay? And that's grab gun, pull trigger, all right? The fine techniques of holding in place, and yeah, you don't want to see why a lot of cops miss their target and why they shoot 17 rounds at somebody and then reload is because they can't do in that kind of situation what they do at the range. Hold it steady, And again, like I said, there's no ammo. These guns are all, hold the gun steady, good grip with this hand. All right, put this thing up in there, wrap these 3 fingers around it, finger out here, and there's nobody back here, okay? Take this, the palm of this hand, the meaty part of your thumb palm, place it in this open area right here, right there, and then wrap these fingers around these, okay? Keep your thumbs out of the way, they're useless. Most of your squeezing is done with these fingers right here, not your strong hand, okay? Finger on the trigger, you squeeze, you slowly pop, the gun's not wiggling, the gun's not moving, okay? And Rob Latham said that, and we know him, he won all them world championships. He said, I don't care what you do, as long as you get that gun and you hold that gun tight, you can slap that trigger as hard as you want to, as long as you're got a good grip and you're not moving that barrel every time you pull that trigger. He said, you can shoot as fast as you want to, and the bullets are gonna go where they're supposed to go. All right, pow, back on, your hands are locked, okay? That's a big motor muscle memory to keep that gun locked out. And then you just start getting your sights on and start pulling that trigger. All right, if it's moving, you need more practice, more dry firing. Stand in front of your mirror and watch. Every time you pull that trigger, is that barrel moving? A laser sight works good for this too. You know, in a room, watch it. And when you pull that trigger all the way back until it clicks, is that laser jumping everywhere? Or is it pretty damn straight? That's what dry firing will do for you, okay? Let you know if you've got everything good, you pull that trigger and that gun don't move, that bullet's going where you want it to go. And you can continue to fire because you're going to go back into lock position every time that gun fires and jumps, okay? That's your training, all right? Trigger pound, as long as you're in a 4 or 5, 6 pound trigger, you're good to go. If you're shooting competition, the adrenaline rush is not as high because you're not defending your life and nobody's shooting back at you. Although there is stress from competition, especially if you're someone who's very competitive, that can be worked out, that can cause stress, that can cause your fingers to be moving. But the only time you need to change these triggers, in my opinion, is if you're going to be shooting competition. Other than that, these factory triggers are great. Well, I did have a popular name brand polymer gun one time that had almost a damn 9 pound trigger out the box. I was pissed. I did replace that one, but that's about 5 years ago when I was really into this buying stuff and fixing and changing everything. And you can put on so many different, excuse me, pollen. You can put on so much aftermarket stuff into these Glocks that they're no longer reliable. And you're like, that Glock sucks. No, Glocks don't suck. I'm sorry, if you think Glock sucks, then you need to shoot more. What does my hat say? Shoot that thing! Folks, thanks so much for watching. I love it, as always. I love you guys. I pray for all my YouTube video watchers. I hope God blesses you. I hope God blesses America. And Cornhole out.